Welcome to another episode of Vic and Hope Watched a Thing. So we just watched Scooby Doo Return to Zombie Island.
We've been to every haunted house, park, and carnival, north, south, east, and west of the Mississippi.
We don't have a mystery to solve.
Maybe we solved them all.
We're going on vacation.
Sure is nice out here on the open sea.
Like nothing bad's ever happened in paradise.
Yeah.
Where did you say this island was that we're going to?
The darkest reaches of Davy Jones' locker.
Okay.
Which is the worst cancer I've ever seen in my entire life, but we'll get to that, because I want to talk about both movies.
Sure.
We're going to start with Scooby Doo on Zombie Island.
Ooh, stories like that always give me the heebie-jeebies. Ooh, no wonder you became a reporter. That moat monster almost sliced you up like a pepperoni pizza. And then we wouldn't have Coast to Coast with Daphne Blake, your very successful syndicated series on Americana, going on its second season, I might add. I never miss it.
Thanks, Chris. You know, the real reason I changed jobs was because the monsters and ghosts always turned out to be bad guys in a mask.
Got a little boring, eh?
No kidding.
So, this is a movie released, I believe, in the late 90s. I was obviously a little kid when this came out. It was a straight-to-VHS film. As you see here, this is the original VHS that I have had from my childhood. I have watched this a billion times. I wouldn't say I was, like, a huge Scooby Doo fan my whole life. Like, the show has had such incredibly varying quality that it was hard to, like, to really get into it. I was always a big fan of a pup named Scooby Doo when I was a kid. And this movie in particular is the best Scooby Doo movie. This movie is great. We watched this again like a year ago-ish.
Yeah, actually
it was when
last
I got
Halloween.
This TV. Yeah, oh, so it was last Halloween. Because I got this TV to do music video stuff with, and I was like, dude, we should watch some VHS tapes. And we rewatched Scooby Doo on Zombie Island, which was, especially with this aesthetic, fucking awesome. I love it.
It's great to watch on a CRT.
Yeah, it's a movie that, like, it is, you know, it's a Scooby-Doo movie. Let's not pretend like this is really good.
But, like,
it's a Scooby-Doo movie.
It is the best thing you can possibly do with the Scooby-Doo premise.
Yeah, because it's like, this is a movie, this came out, there was probably, like, 15 years between the last Scooby-Doo property and this movie. Like, there was a big gap in Scooby-Doo. Because back in the day, they didn't just release fuckloads of Scooby-Doo all the time, you know?
Yeah, they usually just replayed the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
Like, I'm not sure, I feel like A Pup Named Scooby-Doo was probably before this movie,
Yeah.
and that was probably the last thing that came out. Previously, it would have been more direct-to-video movies, like the Shaggy's Ghoul School
Yeah,
thing.
Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School.
Yeah, which is another one that's considered, like, one of the best Scooby-Doo movies. At least if you grew up with Scooby-Doo, then you probably know that people consider this to be a great Scooby-Doo movie, as far as Scooby-Doo movies go. But this was the first in a series of straight-to-video movies. They had Zombie Island, they had the Witch's Ghost.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost.
Then they had Alien... What was that one called?
Did Cyber Chase come before?
Cyber Chase. Oh, yes. I didn't like Cyber Chase. No, Cyber Chase was the fourth one.
Okay.
The third one was the one with the aliens.
I think that the one with the aliens is where I dropped off, because I was like, nah.
Because Cyber Chase, I didn't really like. The alien one
Shaggy
was...
tried to fuck that alien, and I was like, I ain't into that.
The alien one is not good, in my opinion. I thought it was shit. The Witch's Ghost is pretty good, but this one is the best one. And it was like, Scooby-Doo had been on this long break, and then they were trying to do a good job making a straight-to-video movie. And it's like, the animation is good, the characters are good, the writing is good, the premise is good, everything about this movie is solid. And it's like, it was taking what, you know, Scooby-Doo's always been a really dumb, goofy cartoon, but this was, like, taking it seriously, you know? Like, what if...
This was What If the Monsters Were Real?
Yeah, this is the first ever Monsters Are Real Scooby-Doo story, besides the Ghoul School, which is, like, kind of a divorce
But they don't
side
really
story.
talk about that in mainline Scooby-Doo.
Because there's, like, what is the canon of Scooby-Doo?
There is none.
Like,
it's just whatever suits the show at the time.
But this one is acting as a sequel to the original cartoon in terms of canon and where the characters are.
Who the characters are, how you expect them to act.
Yeah.
The shenanigans they get up to.
And it's like, this movie starts off, the cast has moved on, they're not doing mysteries anymore. they've basically essentially retired. Daphne has become a TV reporter, and Fred is her cameraman. This is portrayed as a job. This is their career.
They are working adults.
She is a news anchor. Velma is, like, writing novels about their mysteries and shit. Like, she
owns a bookstore and she's writing novels.
She's writing novels. This is her job. Scooby and Shaggy are working at an airport.
They're TSA agents.
This is their job. They are adults in this movie. This will become important when we talk about the next movie. But anyways, that's this movie. So it starts off with the gang. They've all moved on, and then they get back together to, I think they were going to go on a mystery tour and film it because Daphne was going to do it for her, her TV show.
She was doing a ghost hunting-esque expose for her TV show.
So they end up in a place and they run into one of the Louisiana ladies.
Yeah, they're at a flea market in I think the French Quarter.
Yeah.
Or like an open air market.
Yeah, they're in Louisiana and they catch wind of a mystery island and they go investigate it. And the whole movie is just about they're on this island, there's a mansion. Who opened the window?
You can feel the chill in the air. Cut! Who opened a window?
It's an island full of cats.
The window.
They're investigating the mystery because there's the pirate captain's treasure and there's zombies on the island and they're going in that direction because initially it starts with ghosts and they're investigating the ghosts. They find zombies and then it turns out over the course of the movie they find out that the people who welcome them to the island are immortal cat people because they are practicers of voodoo because this is in Louisiana.
It's Louisiana.
It is leaning into voodoo culture, and it turns out that in the past there was like this village on this island and it was raided by pirates and everyone was murdered, and so they created a pact with these cat gods or whatever to become immortal cat people, but they have to feast on souls of living people and they turn into zombies. So
they turn into the people they consume turn into zombies.
Yeah. But like the zombies throughout the movie, there are pirate zombies, like Civil War zombies, and tourist zombies. And I always thought that was really interesting because it shows you the lineage of how long they've been there, you know, and the different types of people that they've preyed on. And it was like a really interesting aspect of the history of this island and the history of Louisiana and how it would have changed from like this small town voodoo leftover kind of place into, you know, what would it have been like in the Civil War and all this stuff. Like, all this history that's there in this culture because this is a movie that's trying to actually like incorporate some interesting cultural ideas.
It's definitely the only Scooby Doo movie that's so steeped in like reality.
Well, it's not because the Witch's Ghost also
but it gets a little kookier.
Yeah, there's a lot of kookiness.
This is very much just like you could hear a story like this in Louisiana and you'd be like, yeah. Y'all probably believe that.
It's definitely the most straight Scooby-Doo story in terms of, like, trying to do something interesting. And so they're on the island, they're filming it for Daphne's TV show, and so they're filming the whole time, and they end up losing the camera at some point. La-di-da-di-da. But it's pretty cool. It's a very enjoyable movie. There's lots of great songs.
I was gonna say, are you gonna neglect to mention how every song in this movie slaps?
Yes, it has lots of bangers. You got The Ghost Is Here, but it's fake. You got
Terror Time.
Terror Time again.
You hear the screeching of an owl. You hear the wind begin to howl. You know there's zombies on the prowl.
Fucking classic. And it's like, as a kid, you could just watch it over and over and over again because you love the songs. It's aesthetically great, super solid throughout.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful movie. Totally holds up after a long time. It still looks really good. Yeah.
You can watch it and go, that was neat.
Yeah, you feel like, oh, something I liked as a kid wasn't terrible.
Wow, this wasn't shit.
This is not a bad, shitty movie at all. It's just like, you know, it's still a Scooby-Doo movie. It's still a kid's movie, but like, it's probably the best thing that they could have done with Scooby-Doo, and they fucked it up endlessly ever since.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about... I know you kind of went into your history with Scooby-Doo. I mean, when I was a kid, I had a similar experience where, like, I liked Scooby-Doo, but I really only liked certain episodes, and other episodes I thought were completely boring. Like, if I didn't feel like the threat was very real, I was like, boring. I don't
Yeah.
care. I liked A Pup Named Scooby Doo. Like, that was always something fun to watch when I was sick at home from school and shit like that. So when this movie came out, I remember really loving it because it was the first time that I felt like they took the horror and like the threat seriously.
Yeah,
I was a kid, obviously,
exactly.
so it was, you know, intense at the time. But I loved that they took it seriously and the monsters were real and actually like a actual threat.
Yeah, because you're used to seeing these hokey 70s Scooby-Doo cartoons from back in the day that they just rerun on Cartoon Network all the time. Which, I mean, you know, they have their fun moments. I always love the Globetrotter episodes and stuff, and the Don Knotts episodes, and the goofy celebrities who, like, there's no way me
Sonny
as a
and
kid
Cher,
knows
and
who
you're
the
like,
fuck they are.
who is
Sonny and
this?
Cher. Oh, man. But it was, you know, it was always a lot of fun.
Weren't the Three Stooges on there once?
Yes, they were.
And I'm like,
All
What?
kinds of
Who is-
fucking
what?
old celebrities and Scooby-Doo cartoons that kids have no context for at all. I think Don Knotts was also in Johnny Bravo as
I
like a
think you're
parody
right.
of him. Like, he's like the same character from Scooby-Doo comes into Johnny Bravo and is like a regular character, and he like flies away on the umbrella. Was
yeah.
that the same guy, or was that someone else?
I don't know. I didn't watch as much Johnny Bravo as Scooby Doo.
Either way, you know, I'm a fucking Cartoon Network kid in my blood, in my heart. But yeah, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, pretty fucking solid movie. Definitely recommend if you remember it and you want to do a nostalgia watch. I can't imagine you'll care about it unless you're like really into cartoons or really into like you saw it as a kid and you're nostalgic. It's fucking what's his name? Mojo.
Oh yeah.
He's picking the peppers. So much good shit.
I love this aesthetically. It's so
it's
good. There's just
awesome.
so much good little characterization of
Yeah.
all of the gang.
You have a good sense of the island. You have a good sense of the people there, how they interact with each other.
It's just a good, solid movie.
Yeah, really fucking solid Scooby-Doo shit. Anywho, enough sucking this movie's dick. So,
That being said,
for some ungodly reason, last year, they decided to make Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island.
Haven't we been here before?
Get out!
The Zombie Island Mystery! This is it! One of the unsolved capers!
Mystery Inc. is closed for business. The only thing we have to do on this island, man, is relax.
Oh, Fabo.
This is Tommy!
Why? Fuck if I know. It's just to fuck with people like me.
because you gotta figure, you're coming in 20 years after Scooby-Doo on Zombie
Yeah.
Island came out. Kids aren't gonna have any concept of what this movie means culturally because they never saw Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
Yes.
So they're not gonna get the context.
It's very clear that
it means
this
nothing to them.
this is not a Scooby-Doo movie for kids. It's a Scooby-Doo movie for adults. And that's what makes it
Dog
far
shit.
worse than anything I could ever have imagined. Like this, I knew this was going to be bad because obviously it's going to be bad, but it was just so much worse than I could have possibly fathomed that it blew my fucking mind. And it just was an assault to my brain and my intelligence. Because you're making this movie it's a 20-year later sequel. Obviously it's for adults. Obviously you made this for millennials who have nostalgia for the movie. It's another direct-to-video release. And it's just heinously terrible all the way through. Because it immediately invalidates anything that was good about the original. Does not try to pay respect to it in any way. It is completely up its own ass. It is a cynical disgrace of a fucking piece of trash movie. And it's everything that is wrong with current year and, like, lol ironic culture.
Yeah.
Because it goes
Cynical is the perfect way to describe this movie.
immensely cynical. That's the only way to describe it. Because it feels... The tone they take with it feels like an Adult Swim parody of, like, what these
It feels
characters
like
would be like.
Robot Chicken
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo.
Like Robot Chicken portrayals of the characters, or like a Harvey Birdman spoof of what the Scooby-Doo characters are, because it's playing that whole angle of like it's taking the personalities of the characters from the the original cartoon to a goofy extreme where it's like, oh, what if we applied logic to these characters, lol.
You could almost put it akin to like Teen Titans Go.
Yeah.
But not funny.
But far worse. Because it's like, oh, Velma, she has to be obsessed with mysteries. Oh, Shaggy and Scooby have to be disgusting idiots. Fred has to be one-dimensional and stupid.
He wants to fuck his car.
Fred wants to fuck the mystery machine. Ah!
And Daphne is...
just
nothing?
She was fine, you know?
She doesn't really have a trait, you know? It's
they
just...
walk her back. But, like, so this movie starts off with a montage of Fred and the mystery machine... Of how cool it was, and they're like doing these comically ridiculous things where they're like stopping villains with the mystery machine.
The mystery machine is saving the day.
And it has these fucking cringe ass parody lines of like, oh, it's Old Man Magoo, and oh, it's Old Man Magoo's son, and it's the whole Magoo family or whatever. Which is just like, fucking Christ. Oh god, here we go with the meta shit immediately. I don't know who the fuck this is for. And then we get into it, and it starts off with the gang in the diner, and Fred's lamenting because he sold the mystery machine.
Which, why? They never tell you why.
They never tell you why.
Why did he have to sell it if he loves it so much?
At the beginning of the previous film, they're driving around in the news van, which he takes a decal off, and it's the mystery machine. He kept it all this time. Even though they're adults and they moved on from doing mysteries, he kept it just in case they would fucking reconnect and ignite the flame and get the gang back together. But no, in this he started off selling it, even though he clearly fucks the car. And yet we get no explanation of why, and he bitches about it the whole movie. That's the plot of the movie.
Right. The plot of the movie is Fred trying to fuck the mystery machine that he sold for a reason that we cannot ascertain.
So, in the beginning, they're being scolded by a police officer who's like, you guys have to stop solving mysteries.
Why?
Because you're vigilantes and you need to leave it to the cops. And they're like, oh, we better listen to this guy. We don't... What?
All of a sudden?
And so it's like... starting off with this, leaving out from the movie that came before this, that this is a sequel to, the gang got jobs and moved on, and then they reconnected, like, they weren't just mystery-obsessed, one-dimensional people, you know?
They weren't fucking weirdos who lived in their parents' basement and just did occult research on the internet for 7 hours every night.
And then Daphne has to remind you constantly that she's writing a blog. It's like,
Velma.
This is someone, Velma has to remind you constantly she's writing a blog. And it's like, this is someone who we, in the previous film, had established as an owner of a bookstore and an author. Now she's just some blog writer, and everyone's like, oh, your blog? Who gives a shit?
Blogs.
Lol. So, they get invited to go on an island retreat by Elvira.
Fucking Elvira, why?
They're watching the Elvira show. So
That's
again...
not even on TV anymore. She's like 60 years old.
References for millennials who grew up with the show, Elvira, lol.
That's before our generation even.
Yeah,
Elvira
but like,
wasn't even relevant when we were kids.
It was still a meme when we were kids. She would
But,
get
like,
referenced all the time and stuff.
It's not like we had a connection with her.
Was she in one of the Scooby Doo cartoons?
She probably was.
She probably was.
I'm pretty sure she was in one of the older cartoons. I just don't understand why they feel the need to hang on to her like she's some sort of millennial icon. Like,
very fucking
I have no
annoying.
attachment to Elvira, but
Very
okay.
fucking stupid. Because it's taking the characters and, interpreting them from the old show, but making a sequel to a plot that was not the old show and was an improvement over the old show. Why not make a sequel to one of the old plots from the old cartoon? Why make it the good movie that had nothing to do with the old cartoon? It was a sequel to the cartoon.
They do have those Easter eggs at the beginning of like creatures and monsters that they caught from the old cartoon. So it's like they do go that extra mile to be like, oh, do you remember this monster? Do you remember this guy? Do you remember, you remember this, right? And it's like, yeah, I do, but okay.
Very fucking cringe, very fucking annoying. So they go to this island, and everyone is mentally retarded. And they don't realize that they're not going to a tropical island. They're going into a fucking bayou.
They're not retarded because the whole time they're winking and nudging at the camera because they've been sworn to not investigate any mysteries by Scooby and Shaggy because they're sick of being chased by monsters and being terrified all the time. So no one is allowed to ask any questions or use any reasonable train of thought. Everyone has to pretend they're a brain-dead fuck-off idiot.
And so on their way to the island, Daphne recalls, she's like, this reminds me of that place we went to when I was, like, working at a news station for my school project.
You know, when I was in high school, working
college, maybe,
as an independent anchor
argue college,
for a
but
news station.
So the awesome resolution that we got with these characters before their reconnection, you know, that was really cool and interesting in the old movie. That wasn't real. They were just in an internship or whatever. Don't worry about that. Wasn't real. Character growth for these characters, good treatment. Who gives a shit? You know, they're jokes. They're just jokes. Fuck it, 70s cartoon. Oh lol. Fucking eat shit, Scooby Doo.
So yeah, I guess the gang is 15 to 17 years old again.
I don't know. I have no idea. They're nebulously aged, but fucking
everyone keeps calling them kids.
Yeah.
Like the police officer's like, "You kids, you better stop solving mysteries, you whippersnappers, you youngsters," implying that they're like 16.
And like I could see if this were just a different movie and not a sequel to Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, my beloved childhood film, and they did the same thing, it would just be like, oh, whatever, shitty Scooby-Doo movie, who cares?
Right.
It's the fact that it's a sequel, because we wouldn't have watched it otherwise.
Exactly. But that's what they get you.
I was looking for a rage watch, let's be real. But
sure.
They shouldn't have made this. Because it's fucking cancer. Especially when Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is on Netflix right now, you know?
Right.
Kids these days can watch it.
Yeah,
you can
it's
rewatch
accessible.
it. It's perfectly accessible. So they're cashing in by making a sequel that is shit. That is fucking cynical dog shit. Okay, so they go to the island, and now they're recollecting, like, they give you a recap of the previous movie, but animated now in their new style that looks like fucking trash. I don't know why they didn't just reuse clips from the old movie, which would have looked better because this movie looks like fucking absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
But for some reason they do that. And so now we know that, like, yes, this is a sequel. This is canonically a sequel. This is what the movie is pitching to you, that it is a sequel with the same characters that relived this experience like a year ago or whatever.
Like months ago. What? And for some reason, like, Velma is completely obsessed with the idea that the mystery, the original mystery in Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is unsolved.
Yeah.
Even though there's very clear closure that at the end, the fucking cat people get fucking reverse voodooed and their life energy gets sucked out and they're fucking dead. They're dead! You see their fucking bones!
Now Velma's character is insane and cannot believe in any ghosts or ghouls, because that's part of her character, right?
Because she's a conspiracy theorist on the other end of the spectrum.
Yes, because every modern Scooby-Doo cartoon has to be cynical and farcical and turn it up to 11, and they can't just just try to make a good cartoon, you know? Just try to put some fucking effort into it
don't do that.
And tell a good story, and kids will still like it, you know? But whatever. Fuck me. Okay.
It's just weird how this movie fluctuates from being like goofy, off the wall, slapstick bullshit, like Scooby and Shaggy eating so much food that they're now fucking round balls and they have to roll around the room, but also being hyper cynical and like pointing out weird character flaws and being like, they have this scene between Daphne and Velma when they're driving to the island in this van, and they're like, they look at each other and they're just like, you know, this is actually really awkward. Like, we don't know how to talk to each other. We've never, like, had an actual conversation. We're not even really friends. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
So, are we, haha, armpit farts, tee-hee giggle time, or are we actual character development, you know, passing the Bechdel test?
Yeah, because they're trying to, like, subvert Scooby-Doo and do cynical bullshit. But then the comedy in the style of the movie is just an old Scooby Doo cartoon without any intelligence put into it whatsoever. So it's like you can't be cynical of what this is and then do the bad parts of what it was and ignore the better movie that was made and treat the old movie like it was the old goofy cartoon, you know?
It's bafflingly incompetent and the tone is everywhere.
Yeah. So
you get whiplash.
The main plot of this film, they're on the island and they're acting like retards for like 45 minutes. At this point, I legitimately had to just start skipping through because I was so bored and enraged and it was so incredibly offensively terrible. But we did watch the rest of the movie from where I skipped because I skipped in a little bit and they're getting attacked by the zombies and it turns out that, oh, there's this guy and he's trying to make a film of them.
It's an undercover film.
Because he
found... covert guerrilla film.
He found Velma's blog.
Yes.
And decided he saw the unsolved mystery of Zombie Island.
Which,
okay. And decided to lure them back in through Elvira's show to get them on the island to film a found footage movie of them discovering his fake mystery of the island, which he has actors to do. It's very fucking stupid.
So, is this director guy... I'm assuming he's a real person.
Oh, I don't know.
Sam whatever?
I didn't look him up or anything.
I mean, with as much detail as they put into this character and the way he spoke and the way he acted,
No.
I feel like he's got to be a real guy.
It's because they just went for every low-hanging fruit bad director joke. And as someone in the film community...
Why would they do that if they didn't have a real director playing that character?
I don't know, but everything he does is the, like, quintessential lol director meme.
I
get
that,
like,
but...
every line he has is, like... It's like, oh, it's the kind of shit that filmmakers write for each other to pat each other on the back and suck each other off because it's so fucking funny. Oh, directors are like, lol. Fucking, it's toxic, gross, like disgusting bullshit. This character is the fucking worst. And all of the jokes are the most low-hanging, lazy, stupid, vapid, overdone shit in the world. And it just enrages me on a deep level. He's like, oh, I'll fix it in post. Lol. The directors be like, we'll fix it in post, lol. Never heard that one before. Jesus fucking Christ.
Also, he like literally takes the camera away from the camera crew to film himself, like constantly. He's filming on a camcorder.
Yes.
Like,
because it's,
what is happening
it's
here?
lol memes, but then it's like, this is Scooby Doo. What the fuck does this have to do with directing movies?
This dude is like, just such a specific character. I can't believe he's not a real guy.
It's incredibly odd and pointless. But anyways, over the course of the movie, they're getting attacked by cat people now. So they think like, oh, are the cat people still around? The cat people are fucking terrible. And then it turns out it was the other people on the island. And they were just trying to like fuck with the movie set, I guess, and find the treasure that was lost.
The film crew, and then there's like 3 people who just live there and chill on the island, I guess.
Yeah.
And those are the people that were pretending to be cat people so that they could steal a necklace. They could steal the pendant that the original antagonist from Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island wore because they need the pendant that the director has. Because I guess he went into the catacombs and found the pendant on the fucking ground somewhere and was just like, I'm gonna wear this. This seems like a great idea. So they need the pendant in order to find the pirate treasure that's rumored to be buried on the island. They didn't technically commit a crime.
I want to interrupt you because I turned back and it's this scene. This fucking great scene where they find the first zombie, they get him down, and then they're trying to figure out
pull his mask off.
They think it's a bad guy. They're like, oh, get his mask. They're ripping at this corpse, like trying to get the mask off, and then they end up ripping its head off.
Yes!
And that's when they realize that it's a real zombie. And Fred is filming it like this fucking snuff film.
Man, that's why I fucking love this movie, because this movie is a kid's movie. But, like, it respects you, you know? It doesn't treat you like you're some fucking dumb goo-goo gaga suck your thumb little dipshit. It's like, hey, here's some real shit. Have fun.
And
it's
got, like,
sick.
actual
Thanks.
scenes with directing and pacing and tone and sound and atmosphere.
Like, this scene goes on for a minute
And
before
then
they get to this place.
And then it's like,
And they're like, oh, fuck. And then they play hot potato with the head. It's great.
It's blending jokes with story? Whoa! You mean the jokes aren't just
Competent writing.
random lol Family Guy bullshit? You mean they tried to actually make a movie with a plot? Oh, it puts its head back on and it's classic!
So within the sequel for Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island, there's 3 antagonists, which I feel like is too many sets of antagonists. Because your first set of antagonists would be the secret film crew and the director, who are your original antagonists because they're tricking the gang and they're making them think the zombies are real. Then you have the sub-antagonists of the villagers who live there who are pretending to be cat people. Then you have the tertiary antagonist of like the actual cat person who's revealed to still be living on the island and also fucking with them. Where did that end up going?
Yeah, well that's because they're like, oh lol, the mystery isn't really solved.
Why?
I don't know. It's very fucking stupid. I don't know. There's no indication of who that character could have been, like, from the previous movie or anything. Because this movie doesn't care. It does not fucking care.
It's like, the cat people need to absorb the essence of human life in order to continue living. They can only do that during the harvest moon. A harvest moon is occurring during the events of the sequel, yet this real cat person makes no attempt to kill any of them in a way that would benefit him and keep him alive. He just tries to knock a tree over onto their van while they drive onto the island. And that's the only thing really that he does. Oh yeah, and the Mystery Machine's a monster truck.
Yeah, the Mystery Machine's a monster truck, and Fred becomes a stunt double. And it's just like constant shit because it thinks it needs to constantly, like, subvert your expectations and be meta and do crazy stuff. And I don't understand, first of all, why the fuck they made this movie in the first place. I feel like it might be some sort of continuation of whatever the last cartoon was, because I remember the last Scooby Doo cartoon, I think, had, like, it was supposed to be, like, the lol farce sort of continuation of the old art style kind of thing.
The one that looked like a Family Guy ripoff?
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't kept up with it in a long time. But, this is fucking trash, and I hate it. I really hate it.
The sequel is absolute garbage. It really cements how good this movie is. How good the original Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is.
Just seeing it up here, I'm like, it's great. I like this movie.
It's such a classic. It looks so good. Aesthetically, it looks great. You can tell that they really tried and put a lot of effort into the designs and the colors and the atmosphere. And then when you watch the sequel, you're like, oh, yeah, no one cared, huh? Yeah. No one cared at all.
Fuck it. Just fuck it. Why make a sequel to this fucking movie? Why?
You think this is the movie that Biden shows his grandkids? Because the original's too scary? Yes.
Is that what it is? Is it the kids these days are too retarded? Or is it just that we think they're too retarded?
I think people think they're too retarded. Because if we could handle this when we were kids, I see no reason why kids today couldn't handle this.
I mean, it's a Scooby Doo movie. Like, it's not like anyone's getting their guts ripped out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But this is not like you're not showing them Saw.
I just don't get it.
It's just it's that perfect middle ground for a young kid. It's that perfect middle ground of taking you seriously and respecting you as a viewer, showing you some stuff that is genuinely creepy, but it's also still lighthearted, and you have the safety of knowing that it's not real and no one's actually gonna die.
I just don't get why cartoons these days, in general, just have to be so fucking cynical, and, like, it always has to be new parody of old cartoon so that your millennial parents can laugh at it, I guess, while their kids watch it, because, like, oh man, cartoons were so dumb. And it's like, when we were kids, we had the old Scooby-Doo cartoon on TV, and then you had these series of movies which were great, and then you had What's New Scooby-Doo, which I did not like as a kid, mostly because of the obnoxious opening theme.
But Simple Plan did the opening!
Because Simple Plan, and it was kind of cringe. But, like, at least they were still trying to, like, legitimately make a cartoon with these characters and, like, make it work.
They actually did really try to make that relevant, because they had a lot of modern guests on that one.
Yeah. That was, like, the most sincere modern Scooby-Doo cartoon. And then it seems like every Scooby-Doo cartoon that I've seen after that has always been some sort of cynical take and subversion and, like,
Yeah.
I don't understand who that's for, because if you just want to appeal to modern kids, just make another sincere Scooby-Doo cartoon, you know? Make a good Scooby-Doo cartoon for kids. Why are you making cynical bullshit for adults? What's the point?
This is why we need Steven Universe.
Yeah. Steven Universe is great.
Steven Universe is a light of sincerity in a cynical, dark cartoon universe right now.
There's always this revisionist idea that, like, the old thing is bad. Like with the Ninja Turtles movies, with the Michael Bay ones, where it's like, the approach is like, this is how we do it these days, with big action and cool shit. Those old movies, those were fucking dumb. They couldn't do anything. What? Solid character writing and jokes? Fuck that. We want action and explosions, you know? That old thing was, they were in costumes. That was stupid. We need CGI. Come on. Let's kick it up a notch. But we'll still leave in all the little tidbits for the people who are paying attention and remember the old thing. Because they're gonna appreciate this new thing so much when we throw in all the references to the stuff that you legitimately liked when you were a fucking kid. Anywho, I could go on forever venting about how bad this new Scooby-Doo movie is, and no one in the world but me will care. Because I'm probably the only 27-year-old male in the world that has forced his wife to recently rewatch Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island on a VHS
like
tape.
Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
It's funny to say that I forced you to watch it. But
You make it sound like I was, like, you had me strapped to a chair, and you had the things peeling my eyes open. I'm like, no, don't make me do it!
Oh, man. But I mean, we watched this in a stretch of, like, watching old Ninja Turtles movies, watching Godzilla movies, watching Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island on VHS. Yeah, because we watched the Ninja Turtles movies on VHS, too, because I see them over there.
Yeah.
Did we watch Ace Ventura Pet Detective again, too?
We watched that streaming, but we did rewatch that.
So I got that on VHS. Yeah. VHS. Good
the
shit.
Superior media.
That's all I have for that. Like, comment, and subscribe if you aren't already subscribed. Are we gonna break in? I guess I need to tag Saber Spark in this and break into the cartoon world.
You could get onto the Pizza Cast.
The Pizza Cast! Pizza Cast! Pizza Cast! Pizza Cast!
If you can ever find it.
The Pizza Party Cast. Oh my god. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this nostalgic rage. See you around.
Go watch Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. It's a great movie. It's an excellent movie. Alright, bye. I love you.
That was the movie talking.
That was the movie speaking
it's
to
a
you.
real
Pleading
nice
to
movie.
watch it.
See how nice this movie is? It said I love you. Like,
It doesn't even know you,
This
but
is
it
a
loves
fucking
you.
sincere film.
Alright, bye.